Welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 80. I'm Adam.
I'm Brian.
I'm Patrick.
As usual, before we get into our game of the week this week, we want to invite you over to our website, meeplesonmeeples.com, as well as all of the social media sites, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Search for Meeples on Meeples, subscribe to us, and follow along with what we've been playing.
The game this week is Bomb Squad by TMG Games. The idea of this game is that you work on a bomb squad trying to deactivate bombs and rescue hostages from a building. It is a cooperative game, and it is a blind game, kind of like Hanabi, in which you select or you draw 5 cards, or the number of cards based upon the number of players, and you don't get to see what's on the cards. Your cooperating players get to see what's on the cards. The object of this game is to get your little robot, which is represented by one of these punch-outs, to rescue the hostages and to defuse the bombs, as well as opening up the doors and any other special tasks that is given to you in the mission briefing that I'll get to in just a second. The rules of this game are pretty simple. With your cards facing this way, on your turn you have one of several actions that you can take. You can either tell your partners what cards they have in front of them. Now when you do that, it's kind of like other blind games in which you can either tell them the color of the card, such as blue.
And you have to tell them all of
All
that.
the right. You have,
For example, you have just one blue.
One blue is right here. Or the type of card, for example, open door. And again, if you tell them the type, you have to tell them all the open doors that they have in their hand. And so that is how you start to build up knowledge about what you can tell the robot to do. Another thing that you can do is you can decide to program the robot. And here we have the robot programmed already. On your turn, you can select one of your cards and put it down in a spot on the program list right here.
And the idea is you want to know what that card is.
You want to know what that card is. You can't look, but based upon the information that you're given, you want to be able to select the proper card and tell the robot what to do, and we'll get to the programming here in a second. The third thing that you can do, of course, is you can try to guess a card. Now, one of the things that happens is every time the robot moves, it wears out the battery. To recharge the battery, you can guess a card. For example, I guess that this is a yellow card. And if I'm right, I get to increase the battery by 1 charge. If I said that this is a yellow move card, and I look at it and they're both correct, I get to charge it by 2. So you can determine the color or the type of card or both. If you just choose one of the sections, you get to charge it by 1. If you're correct on both parts, and you choose to do both parts, you get 2.
What happens if you're wrong on it?
If I am wrong, if I say this is a yellow save hostage card, and I turn it over and it's a yellow move card, you get no battery charge. You lose everything. Okay, and the other thing that you can choose to do is you can choose to activate the robot. Now, when you activate the robot, you'll flip over all of these cards, and you see what people have laid down. Okay, so in this case, we're kind of in a lot of trouble here because we have 2 open doors here. The robot has no doors that has to open right away, and I'll explain why that's a problem in a second. Now, the person who activates the robot can rearrange these cards in any order that they want to get the job done. If there's a card that cannot be fulfilled, it is not activated, you cannot use it, and you actually waste 2 extra batteries if that occurs.
Except if you have, is it less than 5 cards?
If you have less than 5 cards, you can discard 1 card.
For free.
For free.
Yep.
Anything more than that, you can't discard any card, and you have to use all the program. So in this case, I would get rid of the open door red card because we don't have to open a door. These blocks right here represent closed doors. And I can move 3 spaces, okay, move 1 space, save a hostage. Now, I'm not going to be able to use that card, but I can't discard it, so it's just going to count as wasted batteries. So I move 1, 2, 3, move over 1, rescue the hostage, that goes off the board, and I waste that card.
And then you'd have a marker here where you move down.
The marker goes on the battery, and you lose the battery for how many cards you use. So we used 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it says we waste 7 battery, plus we waste 2 extra batteries because we couldn't use this card, so we waste a total of 9 batteries. And you adjust your battery by that. You can recharge the main battery. You can never recharge the reserve battery. As you're doing this, there's also a timer. And it doesn't come with a timer, but it suggests to download the timer that they provide on Android or the Apple Store, and it's a free timer. It also comes with a selection that it can set up quick campaigns for you to set up the board. There's a whole bunch of missions that comes with those in here.
And it's kind of a neat thing. You get if you turn the sound on, you get like the ticking sound.
Ticking sound, and when the bomb goes off, it explodes. The object of the game is to clear the board of all hostages and bombs before the timer runs out. If the timer runs out, you lose the game. If your reserve battery runs out, you lose the game. So working together, you're trying to clear this out. Now, another thing that you can utilize is you can also choose a mission specialist card
for each player.
And each of these mission specialist cards gives you a little bit of a bonus while you're trying to program or trying to use cards. Some of them say it doesn't matter what door color it is, you can use it. The colors are important for especially hostages, bombs, and doors. To open this red door, I need a red door open card. To rescue a blue hostage, I need a blue hostage card played. And to deactivate a blue bomb, I have to get a blue bomb card played. If the colors don't match, you can't use the card.
Let's talk strategies. I found really very similar strategy to if you played Hanabi before. You just got to get really good at...
Come on.
Are we starting over, I guess?
You can start over, I guess, if you want to. I hate that game.
I think a game comparison is not a bad thing.
I'm just
Yeah,
teasing
start it
him.
over again.
I'm just teasing him.
Let's start strategies. I found that strategies are very similar to Hanabi. I mean, because the card play is pretty much identical to Hanabi. The way you give clues, being able to decide who should I give a clue to. Like, I know that if we're going around the table, Pat's next. If he has something that should play, maybe I should give him a clue. If there's nothing, it's just kind of read what they have, know when to give a clue, and then also, of course, know when to discard. That's the hard part, I guess.
Another strategy I found, and we kind of figured this out in our second and third playthrough, is we always tried to kind of fill up all the spaces before we'd activate the robot. You don't need to do that. You can sometimes fill up 2, 3, 4 spaces, activate the robot, move him a little bit through the room, accomplish some of the goals in that room.
And I think we did better when we did it in baby steps.
Exactly. Like, do it in baby steps. Work your way through there. Don't try to do it in one big series because, one, it's hard to get all those cards at the same time. But two, then you got to remember everything that's down there as you're playing.
The one warning that you have to think about when doing that is, if I do it 4 steps at a time, let's say I do it 4, I'm going to use 7 batteries. Adding 1 on would cause me only to use 8 batteries, where if I use up all these 4, adding 1 on down here costs me 4 batteries. So you have to gauge the battery usage when you're using that logic as well, or that strategy.
And that's something to keep in mind too, is I don't think we really, and we didn't seem to have so much a problem with it, but we really didn't keep track of the battery as much as far as discarding the cards to gain that battery back. We were always trying to rush through and get the
we waited until the battery's really low. It's like, oh, guys,
boy,
we need to recharge 3 turns in a row here.
The other part about it is, with strategy, is you want to cooperate with your team. Now, you're not supposed to give them any hints when you're, other than what you are.
It's just like Hanabi.
Yeah,
You can tell them, but when they go to pick a card, you can't be like,
Yeah, you can't go that. So you want to make sure. You want to make sure that that you're paying attention to your cooperators. That everything is being done in a very, very orderly fashion.
I'm going to throw this out there. These plastic pieces don't come with the game, so don't, because people always leave in the comments like, oh, mine didn't come with that. It's not a bad idea to get them, because a strategy I like to use is I like to separate the cards I know. Okay, somebody told me that this one's a yellow one here, so I'll get this off to the side here, and, whatever. So, rearrange your cards and
not a big
really
investment either, but yeah.
Now, there's something I didn't say in the rules, is before you open up a door, you have to rescue at least 1 hostage. So you want to keep that in mind, that this is a hostage and a bomb scenarios.
You have to rescue 1 hostage and defuse the bomb, right?
No, you have to rescue 1 hostage before you can open it up.
Right.
And it really gets you stressed out when you're listening to the timer. You want to keep everybody on track about what the goal is, so that everybody knows we're going to go after this hostage first, then this bomb, then this door, etc. Everyone wants to be on the same page, otherwise you can misprogram the robot.
In game setup, and this probably is just a given, but work through game setup and picking your goals. So you have one guy, like Pat, for instance, one of the games was able to use any color bomb to disarm a bomb. That's a really helpful one. One of the characters I used let me look at any of the program cards anytime I wanted to, so I could look at them and say, okay, guys, we got what we need to move forward. It's just know your roles, select them, I guess, strategically.
And then that also helps dictate who should activate the robot. Because that only worked when Pat activated the robot to do the any-colored door. Mm-hmm. So if you need to open door, Pat, activate the robot on your turn.
Anything else on strategy you guys can think of?
I think the biggest thing is just communicate and be on the same page on what the order will be, so that people are not putting cards down that won't help what your next objective is.
Yeah. So let's talk likes and dislikes. I'm going to put it out there that I actually kind of like the components for it. I mean, the cards are a good quality. And that's something I always kind of get after games for. Is again, it's kind of that linen, nicer, plain card feel. I don't think these are going to be break down quite as easy as like is it Machi Koro? Is that the one that had like the
terrible
really,
cards? Yeah.
Yeah, you still might want to sleeve them. Brian would sleeve them because he
For
sleeves
sure.
everything. But
Absolutely.
it's a good card quality. The map is actually pretty detailed. I mean, it's got an office space. It's got phones on desks. It's got papers on the floor.
It comes with multiple tiles too, so
and they're
that
front and back.
Yep. So
Yeah,
the level design's always going to be different. Multiple options.
Interlocking map spaces.
Yeah, I mean the frame is kind of nice to keep the main board together, and it gives you the score tracker. And there are little cubes, I believe, right?
There's cubes that go down there, and it also tells you the battery. I mean, everything's here that you need to play.
And kind of a minor thing, but there's probably about 15 of these character cards, and they all have different like illustrated pictures for the characters. I mean, they could have gone with the generic man, woman kind of thing, but they kind of put some thought into it. It's just good quality components overall, I think.
The other thing I like is it comes with several missions and several in the mission briefing section. So, and there are also more that are published, and you can come up with your own. It gives you kind of some details on how to do that. So I like the fact that it has objective gameplay that changes and that you can change yourself so that it's not the same game over and over and over again.
Have they released any expansions for this too? Or
I believe there might be one expansion that's either has been or will be released, but I don't know what that.
But it's a simple enough game that I think just the community itself could create scenarios for it.
They have. If you look at it, it's very simple.
Sure. Anything else on likes and dislikes on it? What surprises me from Pat is he really hates Hanabi, and he enjoys this game though, and I think it has a lot in common with it.
Well, we'll get to that review, but I think the one thing I did not like about Hanabi is I didn't feel an objective. You're making this fireworks display, oh yay, and there's no objective, there's no time quality to it. There was just okay, we're gonna play these cards to make a fireworks show. I didn't feel it. It was just I had cards, we're putting them down. Okay, this actually has an objective, it has a mission, it has a timer, there's something you're doing with the cards rather than just laying them out to make a fireworks show. So there's just more to the concept in this game.
And I have kind of a love-hate relationship with that timer. Like, I think it's a neat idea with the sound playing and everything. It really kind of builds the stress for it, definitely, when playing the game. But it doesn't take into account also like the realities of like a game night. Sometimes you just have breaks in the action.
You can pause them.
There is a pause button. I like that they included a pause button.
That's
Some
true.
games don't even do that.
I mean, that's nice, but it kind of takes something from it. I don't know. I think I like it more than I dislike it though, because it really did
Only because it's thematic. I hate timed games.
Yep.
Because it works with the theme, I'm okay. I still don't want to say I like it, and I'm okay with it.
That's the one thing I like about this game is the theme is there. You have the timer, you have the hostages, you have the bomb, you have to work together to defuse it, you have the little robots that go around, and there's other robots, depending on the scenario, that have special abilities, so that you can, if you have a special role to play, the
one downside is, with all these tied up hostages, where the terrorists are bad guys. I'd like to see that in expansion.
Well, that could be
you
cool
have chemical
too.
machine gun on the robot.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be a cool idea.
You could add a whole other layer. I mean,
But
really...
the idea, the story behind this is that they left. They tied up the hostages, they set the bombs to go off, and then they got out of there because they don't want to blow up with the bomb. So it's just kind of the theme of the game. Although I do kind of like that idea of a scenario or an add-on where the hostages are still there, and they could take out your, if you don't neutralize them, they can take out your robot or damage your robot.
That'd be kind of a neat. I mean, you could have different weapons add on to it. I like that game now.
Drones, put a drone in there. So, but overall, any other likes and dislikes?
No, I mean, I agree with that. The components are pretty solid. The artwork's nice. The art, I believe, it's the exact same artist who did both the firefighter and the police precinct game. I think that guy's kind of found his niche. This type of game.
The one thing I would put for maybe a dislike, and it's going to come down to the people you play with. If you have somebody that has kind of the analysis paralysis, that can, especially with that timer, can really drag it down.
Yes.
We had one of our games where one of our players, it got to a point where we just needed to rush it along, and he kind of held it up for 20 seconds. Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I'm like, just give somebody a hint and move it along. Because
go.
You don't have a lot of time to waste. It's 6, 8 minutes?
Yeah,
sometimes?
it depends on 14 minutes, 8 minutes. It depends. Each bomb has
Well,
a
I think
different timer.
there's a time, and then you have to complete so many objectives.
You have to get through the
before
first
the next
room.
timer.
Well,
kicks
each
in.
bomb has their own timer. So
Yeah.
you have to deactivate the first bomb, and then the second bomb has a different timer. So.
Gotcha.
Now it's time for our review. We review on a 10-point scale. 1 is terrible, 5 is okay, 10 is excellent, must own. For Bomb Squad, I'm actually kind of high. I'm probably going to go an 8. It's been a while since... It seems like I've been in that 6-7 range for a bunch of games, but this one, it's just really good. I think the components, they could do a little more, but everything is solid and well done. I like that there's a lot of replayability between the different maps, the different... You can mix up with the characters and the special abilities.
What would you do for components more?
I don't... That's,
You want
I mean,
a little
honestly,
plastic bomb or something like that?
Well, I do like miniatures and components like that.
The
I would
robot
like
could be a miniature. I'll give you that.
I would like the option for longer timers, maybe bigger buildings, and who knows? Maybe with the firefighter game, they eventually added multi-level houses. And
no, we haven't played any of the big missions. Do offer more, like full, several rooms.
So it does get a bigger frame. Okay,
Yeah.
so I do like it. The familiarity with Hanabi definitely helps. And if you've got people new to board games, maybe lead in with that before you introduce this game, because that's the whole I can't see my cards is kind of complicated for some people. But I know, and the theme is really cool because it's not a common theme. I mean, there have been a couple police games, very few, and then the whole idea of this bomb squad I just thought was really well done. So I enjoy a good cooperative game, and it has a twist.
I'm also going to give it an 8, which is probably going to surprise people because I absolutely hated Hanabi. I just despise that game to no end.
Some people don't have taste. That's
I understand.
Yeah, we're okay with
And
you
so
hating on
I know
it.
people are going to
Excellent.
nail me like, well, if you hated Hanabi, well, I like this because not so much for the Hanabi, similarity, but because there's the theme there. It is cooperative. There is a time element there. There is a need that I have to do something in a serious amount of time. Everybody has to be on their A game to get the scenario accomplished. I like the replayability, the multiple scenarios, the double-sided boards. I like the board look. I like everything around it for the most part. Things I don't like. Why isn't it higher than an 8? This is okay. I still don't like the fact that I can't see my cards, but it's okay with the playability. One reason that it's not a 10. It is for one of our people who is a little bit colorblind. This could become difficult. Now, each of these symbols here is different. Like the red move is different than the yellow move, but there can be some confusion in the color. If
and
you're
I did
not
actually
careful.
just notice that the blue has 3 rivets, yellow has 2 rivets, and the red has 1 rivet.
Yep.
So there is actually a differentiation.
There is a
I didn't notice that
There is a
before.
differentiation, but that's the problem. It's a little subtle. So there's a little concern there. It wasn't a big problem with this, but there was a couple times where he had to stop and say, "Wait a minute, what color is that?" I mean,
It was mostly on the chits.
Yeah, the
because
chits are very
the,
small.
The gray and colored striping around it was a little harder.
Yeah, it was a little hard to him. So that's a minor thing. But overall, I like the replayability, and it's the theme. I just love the idea that it has a theme that makes you work fast.
I'm actually going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go to an 8.5. Really liked it. What did it for me is kind of, I think, the timer. Like I said, I had a love-hate relationship with it, but that stress, that motivator really got me into the game even more. I mean, like you guys talked about, I think the theme is great. I think the timer really just builds that theme even more. It's unique. You feel the rush of having to get that robot in there as fast as possible. It really, I think, builds the teamwork really well for that reason, because you're all trying to just get rushed around when the cars get flipped over, trying to figure out the order they need to go into to move that robot. It really draws you in really, really well.
The one thing I was going to say before you go on, the interesting thing is you don't have to have the digital timer. They say that you can use any timer, like a stopwatch or everything. But the sound really played with us, because the first time we played it, we didn't use the sound on it.
Yes.
The second time we played it and we used the sound,
And I should
it
have
was
said that,
really
'cause
different.
Based on that first play, it was an all-right game for me. I mean, I still liked it, probably 7, 5, 8. But that stress, having the sound, moving you along, it just, I don't know, it bumps it up for me.
Yeah.
Great theme. Like we talked about, the card quality is excellent. The artwork, I think's good. I really liked Hanabi too, so having that kind of aspect built into it is really good. Maybe keeps it from going all the way up to a 9 or a 10 for me is there's a couple of the characters we had, when you read their abilities, it's not entirely clear what they mean. I mean, it's sometimes, like one of the guys I had, where it says you could look at the cards at any time, almost seems like it was
Overpowered.
too easy, overpowered, and there's no clarification for that as far as any breaking it down anymore. And maybe it doesn't need it, but it just seems like they're maybe going to the rule book or having to go to the fact to figure out exactly, okay, am I playing this character right? just little things like that kind of bothered me. But otherwise, it's 8.5, great game, and I'd recommend going out and buying it.
Well, there you have it. This week's game, Bomb Squad by TMG. Check it out. We think you should enjoy it.